What happens when a comic book company goes and takes one of your favorite 90s kids properties and makes it a little bit more modern? Find out today on Nerd Shanty as we review the Power Rangers Boom Studios comic book. Welcome to Nerd Shanty, where we get you caught up in everything in the nerdosphere. I'm Kinty Kryptonite, and today we're looking at the first volume of Boom Studios' Power Rangers comic. The one thing that I really like about this is you actually got more than just the four that you're initially thinking that you're going to get packed into here, because you do get an additional comic that is a Bulk and Skull kind of Archie-esque style adventure at the end of it. It doesn't necessarily connect with the rest of it, but it is a fun little add-on that you get. I recently picked up this, and it's running for about $20 currently, but it did come out in 2016, so there is a pretty good chance that you could find it on sale somewhere now. Now, one thing that you need to understand about this comic is you kind of have to already be somewhat of a Power Rangers fan to enjoy it. It picks up directly after Tommy, the Green Ranger, becomes good. He's still dealing with a lot of the types of psychological issues he was having as the Green Ranger, whereas in the show he kind of skipped through that a little bit faster and everything, so you're dealing with a lot more emotional turmoil in this book. Another thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that you got a spotlight on the Zord special ability, much more than you did in the show due to a lot of limitations due to the footage that they were using from Japan. So you're seeing things like, them being able to go into different modes, use weapons and things like that that you normally don't get spotlighted on. Another great thing about this series is that you are going to be seeing a lot more of the personalities of the characters. You're going to be seeing their day-to-day lives. You're going to be seeing even some of their parents in it, which is something a lot of the characters you never really got to see much of, or you only got to see them maybe for one special. By no means do I see this comic as anything that would involve necessarily being a more adult-style comic, but it is an upgrade for people that were watching this as kids that make it where you're not feeling so childish for picking up a Power Rangers comic book. The thing with that is this comic is good by just comic book standards in general, not just by Power Rangers standards. One of the things that's really interesting about it is when you're watching the original show, it was almost very episodic in some parts where you're just getting the lesson of the week, the monster of the week, but instead it's going for a much longer, cohesive story. I really have to say that this is a book that I would strongly suggest to not only anyone that was a big Power Ranger fan back in the 90s, but if you don't mind going and doing a little research of the initial history of it, I would suggest this to anyone, especially since later on in the comics, you did get a crossover with the Justice League. Now, if I was going to give this comic a score, I would have to say the art was really up there and the story was great, but the fact that you do have to have knowledge somewhat in the beginning makes me feel like it doesn't deserve as high of a score as it would normally warrant from me for such an amazing story that we're getting. I am looking forward to seeing some more of the stories that are coming with this, and if people end up wanting to see it, I'm going to review the rest of the series. So I would have to say I'm going to give this series a 3 out of 5, and I'm really hoping that further on in this story I can give it an even higher score, and from what I've heard from people that have already read it, it very well might warrant that. So I hope to see you soon, and everyone stay groovy.